We got one here. Coming in uh, from Wyatt says, "What is the worst documentary you've ever seen?" Hey, Willie and Pat. Recently, I watched a documentary called "When We Were Bullies," and it's the story of a documentary filmmaker named Jay that randomly ran into someone that they went to elementary school with. While catching up, they both remembered that almost their entire class would bully a single kid named Richard. Jay then decided to connect all the former students together and interview them about what they did to Richard to compile into the documentary. The bullying ranged from name calling to poking him with sewing needles to even beating him up as a group. Some even laughed when telling the stories. During the documentary, Jay also tries to contact Richard, but Richard told him that he wasn't going to talk to him and that he didn't want the documentary to be made. The documentary ends with Jay trying to justify why he was a bully by saying that his parents were getting a divorce and he didn't know better, so it wasn't his fault. There's also a brief section where he addresses Richard directly, explaining why he's still making the film, even after being asked not to, and says verbatim, "If you ever watch this, I hope you understand that it's not your story, it's our story." The overall message of the documentary seems to be Jay says, saying that he accepts his own apology, even though Richard does not. It was the worst documentary I've ever seen, and it left me infuriated. The only positive aspect is that Jay's behavior proves that most bullies don't actually grow out of it and instead are just forced by society to stop being bullies. What's the
Oh,
worst you've ever
100%.
watched? That's a
I,
fucking.
I don't have anything that's going to top that.
That is
Um,
insanity. Holy
uh,
shit.
Unsurprisingly, people who are complete fucking pieces of shit as young people, with no external cause, turn into complete piece of fucking shit adults. Like, let's take, for example, if this particular person said that his bullying was them lashing out due to a undiagnosed mental health issue because they were suffering from abuse at home,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can connect the dots there,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's an external cause that is going to come out in a way, and it can be understood.
Mm-hmm.
But people's parents get divorced all the time.
Mm-hmm. Um,
People go through rough spots in their school year or what have you. Um, the decision to soothe yourself with cruelty is an informed one.
I would even say that, like, if you take this entire setup and put in, like what you were just talking about, let's say some form of legitimate traumatic reason why that kid didn't understand why he was wrong for bullying the other kid and was literally like just in a situation where he was something was up and he was incapable of understanding it, right? Whatever that excuse would have been, there's still a second point where after coming to realization of what that was and why that happened and whatever it is, when you go to the person who's the subject of the story and they say don't do this and then you go fuck you, I'm doing it anyway, well, that just like that's the moment where you have a chance to back up and go, oh fuck, okay, I thought this might be a
No,
chance to
you
do
no, 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 no,
something,
no, no,
and
no,
then you could
no.
step back. But the
You're
same
already
mentality that does it to begin with is what's in play when it comes to deciding to stop it, because the same triggers have never been fixed and they're all in place. So the person who doesn't give a fuck back then doesn't give a fuck about what you have to say about the matter now, and then you can just backwards justify whatever you need to make yourself feel better.
yeah. No, you attributed a dramatically higher amount of self reflection than is possible. One of the personality traits of people who act like this is a total lack of self-reflection. A world of me, outward facing only.
Um, that's an insane ass fucking summary. When we were bullies is what it's called, and yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything that can really top what you just described.
Yeah, like
Uh,
I'm sure you heard at some point in your life, Wooly, oh, it's just kids. Kids are cruel. It's like, no, cruel kids are cruel. Bad kids
mm-hmm.
are specifically cruelty.
I think I can think of story like documentaries where like there's been times where I've sat down with Punch Mom to watch something and then like a couple minutes in would be like, what the fuck is this, and then just be like, tapping out, you know.
Yeah.
um in terms of what I've sat through to its entirety, though, like there's one that I can think of. I don't remember enough details, unfortunately, to be able to put together a sensible thing here. But I kind of remember watching this one on Netflix called Seaspiracy, and it kind of just seemed it seemed a little bit odd in that like it had a lot of really good points and things that it was trying to expose about the like basically like the unsustainability of like the fishing industry, like nets leaving lots of pollution, some of the horrible stuff that was happening in Japan with the dolphin culling, you know, the stickers that go on the cans saying that it's you know certified when it's not, and there's all sorts of stuff like that. And I remember that all being like you know pretty sound and like important things to expose. And then it also showed like how certain countries I think had like people that were like employee like basically indentured servants working on ships doing fishing things, and it was really horrible stuff that was being exposed. And then it kind of like um it goes towards like trying to then sort of like explain what the solution to some of this is, and it like it looks into like farming, and at one point they go out and they follow a hunting boat and stuff. But I just remember the kind of there's some specific things it was doing that I was like, something's a bit odd about how this is going. I don't really know what. I'm not sure. And I just remember that like at the end, it kind of. I remember sitting there with Punch Mom and we were kind of just like, in the end, their solution was basically they're just like, so this is why everyone on the planet needs to stop eating fish permanently, and that's the only way to solve like what we're talking about here. And I was like, is it really just that
I don't think
simple?
that's I don't. Let
And
alone like I don't think that's a viable goal.
yeah, and they kind of just go into this thing where they're just like, yeah, no, that's the only thing, and it's like, no, that's a huge. I
Yeah,
understand what you're saying about the problems here, but then that's another thing entirely. And in some cases, it's like if you're particularly the type of person that's like, I'm going to go fish and eat what I hunt because that's what I'm
yeah.
consuming, and that's the most normal way to consume this type of thing. It was kind of there was kind of a vibe of like, yeah, but no, even that's not okay, and that's like it's me it's kind of a mean thing to do. I don't remember the specific points, but it just kind of it struck me as really odd. Like
You ever talk
you're
to
building
somebody
up a
who's like
case, but
upset
that solution is
about
not
politics?
the thing.
You ever talk to somebody who's upset about something that's going on in politics? And you're like, I don't know, man. What are you gonna do? And they're like, we got a revolution.
Yeah.
You're like, how?
Yeah.
We just all got to get up to revolution. And you're like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Like I had it much more.
I don't think that's a goal that's like achievable in your
I
lifetime.
had the specific things in my head more right after I watched it, and it's been a while now. But like, it just was definitely something where I was like, okay, there's a lot of good points about some shit that's bad and that needs to stop. And it's like with farms, it's like you can have a fish farm and stuff, but like some of them come out diseased and liced, and that's bad. And like everything had these like valid criticisms and stuff. But yeah, it then kind of was like, okay, but the person who's directing this, their lifestyle is that they've chosen to go vegan, and essentially this is all supposed to be a slam dunk as to why the result is for you to do the same. And it's like, that's not, you didn't lay out that pathway, and you're not having that full conversation, it feels like. So anyway, that's the closest thing I can think of, which was just like,
you gotta stop testing on animals. Don't you use diabetes medication derived from testing on animals? That's different. It's different because I'm helping them, so I need it.
yeah.
That former PETA spokesperson of a couple of years ago.
PETA, yeah, it's a bit of that unfortunate PETA energy, because it's like, the counterpoint against like the methods and the things that are mentioned that are awful are like clear, but when the thing is like, hey, like if you have to like go hunting or go fishing, and then you are just directly feeding your town with what you're doing directly, and it's not a part of the industry. It's just normal ass fishing. Like, what's the problem with that?
Your heart medication is derived from fish. It's immoral. Okay, I guess I'll just die.
Anyway, it was a weird one. It was a weird one. But yeah, that's the closest I can think of, Anyway, yeah. Oh, apparently they had to redact some of the stuff they talked about too. Okay, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not the person. I don't know. Okay.
Hey,
that's satisfactory. Oh, okay.
I've got one.
Oh, okay. All right.
A terrible documentary.
Okay.
A documentary that I did not understand even at the time of its release. And people told me, whatever, you don't get it. Fucking Super Size Me.
I never actually watched it.
So here's what Super Size Me is, right? Guy says McDonald's is unhealthy.
Eats it all month,
decides
right?
to eat nothing but McDonald's 3 meals a day.
Right.
And gets fat. And he's like, see? And everyone with a working brain goes, yeah, no shit, you fucking idiot. You're eating like 4 fucking thousand calories a day. What the fuck do you think is going to happen, you fucking moron?
Yeah, okay.
Like genuinely
that's exactly
baffling.
what I thought that was. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Like genuinely, completely fucking baffling. And people are like, oh my God, I can't believe how unhealthy McDonald's. I'm never eating there again. And I'm like, I'm not going to stand here and fucking defend McDonald's specifically, but like all I can feel is the deep-seated emotion of, what are you fucking stupid?
Yeah, no, there's other points you can make there, but like that first layer isn't much to say. Like, for example, I have a cousin who's she specifically like has a whole organization that looks into like areas, in certain states where it's like, are you living in a neighborhood or in a rural area where literally like the only thing near you is fast food, and the nearest grocery store is like 5 times the distance compared to the nearest McDonald's? That sucks. We should do something about that, because that's the available food that's cheaper compared to doing a regular grocery, thing. Like, you can talk about that, about the availability and the costs and the price and all that stuff for in certain areas or neighborhoods where you don't have access to anything, But that's a different discussion that you got to have on top of just having that one thing and making that one point.
Apparently, I'm seeing a lot of people say that he apparently had liver damage from a former drinking problem that he was using Super Size Me to blame on McDonald's. Sick.
Okay. Food deserts. There you go. That's your term for that. Yeah. So that's something that I know she's told me about. That's a second layer to the point, but you gotta have that second layer. You don't just start at the bottom and leave it there. Yeah.
I should do a documentary where I eat Wendy's once a week and see how it improves my happiness.
Sounds like it would improve your happiness a lot.
Dude, I want Wendy's so bad. Like, the whole podcast, I've been sitting here going like, man, I could go for some fucking Wendy's right now.
Cool. All right.
The patties are a square, Wooly. It's better that way.
Because his grandma told him to not cut corners.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Because Dave Thomas's grandma told him never cut corners. So that's
the only thing I know about Dave Thomas is that he was adopted, and Wendy's had the charity stuff for adopted kids.
Well, that's why they're square.
That's cool.
Fucking.
Hey, I want to go to Wendy's.
All right, you go figure that out.